Tonight's video is on the CAGED system and why it is a highly limiting foundational starting point. This is not going to be a CAGED system lesson. This is assuming that you may have encountered it before. It's very popular in what's called guitar theory, which is learning music theory from the guitar, which I do not recommend at all. So let's say I have what's known as a D shape. This is a G major chord, and this is the D shape in the CAGED system, right? And the idea is that if I have, and this is very, very true for all string instruments, if I have no open strings, then I simply shift it over one fret, and I have an A flat major chord. Shift it over one fret, I have an A chord. Now, what is essential to know about that is generally the root note. So in this case, I know this is a G major chord. If I'm thinking in the CAGED system, I know this is a G major chord because this is a G note. Now, if I don't know that, I will actually have to start all the way from back here to an actual D chord shape for the D major chord, right? Which we learn as a shape, and we learn to play it without the first finger. The idea is then I'm barring the 0th fret, right? So then I have the E flat major, and then I have E major, and then I have F major, and I have F sharp major, and I have G major, right? But you see the skill I'm using here to actually work through that? I must know the actual name of the note, at least on one string. And that skill is the chromatic scale. I'm actually thinking in the chromatic scale forward. And the easiest way to visualize the chromatic scale is actually memorizing the piano. The piano is the instrument that lays it out better than any other instrument. So once the piano is memorized, then I'm actually treating each string on the guitar like its own piano keyboard. And by doing that, then I could actually fully commit to knowing the names of the notes as a primary method for finding exactly what notes I'm playing. Now, I know this chord is a G major chord because I'm aware it's G, D, G, B, and the chord tones for G major are G, B, D. Now again, that's a lot of music theory. That's not a starting point. That's a later point. But if you start with CAGED without that, you're always having to use a transposable system. It always takes a very long time. And because we never developed the chromatic scale through meeting standards forwards and backwards, it's very challenging to actually even get it right. You know, many times I met with players who said that they're stuck, they're plateaued, and they were trying to use the CAGED system or trying to use things like know the root, third, and fifth in different positions and shapes, but ultimately they would just get the answer wrong. It happens time and time and time again, but I especially noticed it years ago in my teaching, especially when I was teaching at stores and we get a lot of influx of students. And this is right around when YouTube lessons started booming. And a lot of people started, getting more information on their own. A lot of these people were actually then wanting an instructor to basically go, how do I make music out of this, right? And the answer always is, unfortunate, it's a very humbling answer, but the answer is always, well, we've actually missed a lot of opportunities to develop really important skills that allow us a stronger foundation so we can actually visualize the notes, because scales are made of notes, chords are made of notes, intervals are made of notes. And so by doing that, we could then actually be able to play whatever it is we want. If I'm saying I'm playing this G major, and I'm aware that the chord tones are G, B, D, I can do something like this. Just play the B note. So now I can go, let's say let's change the fingering too. So if I'm gonna go, just the chord tones of G major. Let's go. With harmonics. Right? That knowledge, the only notes I played there were G, B, and D. Those are the only pitch classes I played. But notice that I was able to freely start using some different ways of accessing those pitches to be able to have a much more freeing experience The other major issue that players who learn from these systems, who begin learning from these systems, the other major issue that is often a regularly spoken complaint is that I know these things, but I feel like I can't make music out of them because it's difficult to not sound patternistic when you only know it as a pattern, right? So a good case in point here would actually be something like, I'm going to save this for tomorrow's lesson, but something like the modes, okay? So if you know the modes and you know a few shapes for those, if you're able to move them around, let's just say I use a G mixolydian, right? So if I go, right? But what if I want to play it like, all right, with a nice skip? Yeah. Yeah, let's go with open B again. You know what I mean? You see, it's like, by actually knowing the names of the notes, in this case, it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Right? If I'm going around, let's mix them up a little bit. G, B, D. Let's go open E, G. Let's go open E again. Let's put the F. That gives us our mixolydian sound. D, slide to F. Let's get the B, and then the E there. But if we want it over a G chord, we're going to need the D, because the D is a chord tone. Let's get those harmonics again, the G, B. There, and then I'll, if I want the F in there, I can have it. It's going to give me a G7 sound, though. That's the chord that's built off of that scale, right? The dominant 7th chord, right? So you see the idea here is if I know more about the pattern than just the pattern, I now am free to do what I want with music with it. I can do creative things with it, and that, to me at least, especially to me, is where all the novelty lies. That's where all the fun is. That's where all the excitement, that's where all the progress is. Being able to go, okay, I get this, and that I could just play that anywhere. So, all right, so A flat mixolydian. All right, we trust the pattern. And then if I'm improvising, I know I could play this, I know I could play this, yeah? But without knowing what note I'm playing at any given time, let's say, right, and notice that I'm sticking to a specific pattern. Well, what if I went like this? Now I'm playing a G flat note, right? If I want to keep this scale, do I actually know what the next note down is? It's right here, it's F, right? So, and this frees me up to make music. Right? Now I'm playing A flat mixolydian, right? Different scale, different names of notes, right? I'm actually using, or I should say, same scale, different names of notes: A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat. Those are the notes in the scale. Knowing the notes on the fingerboard allows me to freely get that sound anywhere I want it. The sound is not in here. The scale is not in here. Instead, the scale is in here. So I hope this provides insight, and it's really meant as a PSA to avoid anyone who's new and learning to have another look at what actually is the basics, and depending on sort of what experience they want to have with the guitar, if they don't want to be plateaued really early, if they have any sort of ambition as a player to do hard stuff, starting with these is actually going to cause a lot of frustration. I've seen it time and time again, and this has been adjusted, tested, and tweaked over 19 years of professional teaching. So with that being said, I hope this is very insightful, and if you would like any of my help with actually starting from the basics and going through those, meeting standards like I've done with my students through the years, then please feel free to send me a message. I'd love to help you out, get you unstuck, and allow you to feel like you could have the playing experience that you want to have without compromise. Super important. Have a great night, everyone.